Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate the kind words. Yeah, we're really excited for everybody to just hear it now. So not long to go, 15th of May, and then it's everybody's. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I mean, as the kind of primary songwriter in the Karma Effect, it's nice to hear that people like my songwriting, I guess, because I do a lot of it where I'm sat right now, surrounded by all of these instruments, and this is kind of this is where the entire album kind of came to fruition in this room, and then it kind of then enters the rehearsal space, and then the studio, and then onto people's record players. I think for me, like, obviously when you start out as a kid, you start with what you know at that time. It might be the basics, it might not be. So you might base your songwriting around sort of quite simple ideas. But as you grow up and as you get older, your writing kind of grows with you, and you learn more from other people, you learn more styles and techniques about what you need to do. But also, I think one thing that I really pride myself on is, with the Karma Effect, is the ability to identify what a song needs. I think we pride ourselves on having a big hooky chorus because we want people to want to sing along and dance, and then a great groove, and then really the kind of riffs and stuff like that. For me as a songwriter, they kind of come sort of more towards the end. For me, it's about the melody and what's going to get people going, and then you write a great riff or hook around, guitar hook even, around that. And that's kind of where I guess my songwriting has improved over the years, is it doesn't just start with like a riff, just smashing away on the guitar. It's kind of like I'll have a cool set of chords or vocal idea, and then I kind of build the song out kind of from the inside out, if that makes sense. I guess I feel like any band, you grow and you become the band that you kind of set out to be. I feel like the first album, we were really trying to discover what we wanted to be. It's a little bit more rootsy in its approach, and I guess it's got a slightly more Americana feel to it than where we sort of ended up with the second record, which is kind of a little bit more balls to the wall, classic rock. And then really that's kind of the territory we wanted to kind of go into, because, the Karma Effect is, inspired by bands like Aerosmith and the Black Crowes and Humble Pie and all of these incredible bands. And I guess we wanted to try and start making it more of a sort of like retro but stadium-y sort of sound, big, and stuff that we don't necessarily have a huge amount of today. And that filters into the production of the albums and things like that as well. But I guess with the songwriting, I always just imagined it to be played. The songs were written to be played in front of large audiences. I think my all-time favourite song on the new album would probably be actually the lead single that we put out, the first single, which was "Waiting on a Miracle," because I feel like that particular song has everything in it that I, as a songwriter, love about rock and roll. It's got the riff, it's got the vocal hook, it's got the groove that we want. And then you get into the orchestration of it. I'm really inspired by like that Exile on Main Street era Rolling Stones stuff. And I feel like with all the horn lines and everything that I wrote for it, it kind of just has that retro element, that 70s rock element that we were so desperate to kind of bring to the modern day, as it were. I think, well, the song's got two riffs. I mean, the intro riff, I don't know if you can hear this. The intro riff goes like, which is also the chorus. So that's like the main hook for the song, because the vocal goes over that. And really it's just fancy chords played in a different way. And then you've got the main kind of twangy Joe Perry kind of guitar riff, which would be the main riff, which is the that kind of thing. So it's got two kind of motifs, which actually for a song is sometimes quite unique, because it might only just have one guitar riff, but this has kind of got two lead guitar riffs, as it were. So it's trying to work out how it all fits together. It's like a massive jigsaw puzzle, I've always found, and sometimes you remove bits and sometimes you don't. And then there are times where it just literally all falls into the same, like falls into place, you know? Yeah, so that the melodic riff, that one, I wrote that first. That was the primary building point for the song. I was really inspired by some open tuning stuff, which is where you like tune your guitar to a chord rather than, you know, standard tuning. And I was trying to work out how I could get that sound without having to tune my guitar differently. So I was playing all these weird kind of chord inversions, but realistically what it is it's just it's a very kind of almost Jimi Hendrix way of playing, with all these kind of double stops, which is a fancy guitar kind of phrase, and it's kind of got like a real Rolling Stones, like Keith used to love doing all of that kind of thing, and that's where you get that. And it's you know, I also think it's got a really cool like blend of that sort of like country rock thing, that especially on the last bit, so it definitely encapsulates everything that I love about guitar playing and guitar rock, like rock music in general, our kind of vibe. I mean, obviously this band is absolutely 100% undeniably influenced by, you know, the Black Crowes and by the Rolling Stones, Humble Pie, and all of these guys, they experimented with open tunings, you know, the Faces as well, like songs like Stay With Me, Ronnie Wood, you know, playing in all these incredible slide tunings. And obviously when you transport that up to the 90s and you've got like the Black Crowes did Shake Your Moneymaker and Southern Harmony, which are the two records that just, you know, blew me away. You can just hear the incredible resonance of the guitar. You can hear, like, as a guitar player, that it's not in standard tuning, but also pairing that up like the Stones as well with a guitar in standard tuning, it gives you a different sort of timbre for the instrument. They both play off each other in different ways, which I've always thought is really, really awesome in rock, like classic rock. Totally. We very rarely, unless we're trying to make a statement, we very rarely play the same thing. And if we play the same thing, we often play it in different places to give it a different resonance and a different sound. So, you know, on this new album, there's songs like the main riff, like Dangerous Love, which was one of our singles. You've got like the riff, which is like which is a really cool, like very Aerosmith kind of Joe Perry thing. You play that, but then you've obviously, we wanted to make a statement, so we'd be like, right, we're both going to play that together. But then you get to the verses and I'm doing a more kind of funky, while Robbie's doing this like, what was it? No. That kind of thing. So it's kind of got this like, you got this kind of counter melody going on. So I've always thought, like, if you've got two guitar players, why not use it? AC/DC did it really well, and they did it simply, but they did it really well. You know, all of these bands, Guns N' Roses did it really well in the 80s with, you know, what Izzy Stradlin played and then what Slash played. You know, so many bands from all over, from, you know, all spanning all generations. I just think if you've got it, use it, because it's just like orchestration then, isn't it? Iconically, you know, it's got to be, I've got so many. I mean, for me, you've kind of got like your classics. You've got like, of course, which has been rated like the best. But then you've got, for me, obviously, Queen. I mean, I wouldn't be sat here having this conversation with you if it wasn't for Brian May. But then you've also got little things, and you've got personal ones. I've always loved Malcolm Young's rhythm playing. So I've always loved songs like whatever it is, If You Want Blood. Like, but for me, my favourite little segment of a riff is actually from the Aerosmith song, Love in an Elevator, and they only do it in the bridge, and they only really do it like once, and it goes like, and I just think that it inspired me so much with the feel of writing music with a kind of swung kind of groove. It just makes you want to dance. So for me, I would say, even though it's not a main riff, I'd say that's one of the coolest riffs. And it's one of the coolest riffs, and it's just a really simple, like, chromatic pattern. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, oh mate, Joe Perry is yeah, definitely. Joe Perry and Brad Whitford, for me, are two of the most underrated guitar players of the sort of classic rock world and 70s rock period. I mean, this particular guitar is kind of a very special guitar I got done from Gibson, because we're working with Gibson quite closely at the moment. And it's inspired by Joe Perry's famous Les Paul that then was gifted to Slash, and you can see it in the November Rain music video and stuff like that as well. So, you know, it's a really cool piece, and it's all been, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it's all been like relicked and smashed up, which makes it look really cool as well. So it's one of my pride and joys, and are probably by far and away the most expensive item I own in my life as well. But it's a really cool guitar, and it's covered in all sorts of dings and stuff, but really honoured to be able to have it. Well, this guitar, so like I said, this is from the Gibson Murphy Lab. So this has been Tom Murphy aged, and actually this is a very special one because it's from the book The Beauty of the Burst, which is a book they did with all the different 59 spec Les Pauls. And yeah, it's all been, I'm trying to catch it in the light where you can see it, but you can see all the relicking on it. And I did a deal with Gibson. They were so kind to kind of give it to me for a lot less than it's worth. It's got Gibson sort of standard custom buckers in it, which just give that very vintage, raw kind of Gibson sound. So it's got a real vintage, warm sort of tone to it. It's my go-to really at the moment. It's brand new, but I can't put it down really. So, and I just think it looks really cool. And it's got a really nice sort of flame top to it as well. Even though it's all beaten up, I absolutely love it. In here, I've got I use this a lot. This is one of my favorites, and this is my kind of dream guitar really, because I've loved Les Paul Customs, and I love custom players like Randy Rhoads and, you know, Peter Frampton. I loved Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy. And, you know, even up to people like Justin Hawkins from The Darkness and all these incredible guitar players, they've all played Les Paul Customs, and it's a different sound. It's a little bit brighter. And I think it's in half a step down as well. So, and basically this particular guitar is, it's got an ebony fretboard. So it makes it a little bit kind of cuts through a little bit more. So I play this one a lot for songs in the Karma Effect. They're a little bit more chimey. We've got a song called The River, stuff like that. And it just sounds great. So I do really enjoy this one. So as you can see, I absolutely adore my Gibson guitars. And then this is my number one guitar that I use on the road, and this is again a 59 spec custom shop Les Paul as well. And this one I got from Rich Tone Music in Sheffield, who are an amazing brand music shop, and it's an early 59 reissue. So it's built to that spec. It's got a really incredible flame top to it. And again, it's very warm, big chunky neck. It just sounds killer for the songs that we use it for. I tend to use it for songs like things like that. So, you know, this featured the most on the new album. And then I did quite a few of the solos on that one. And then finally, the last kind of one that is quite new to the collection, which is a little bit more of a bluesy guitar, but a really cool looking guitar. This is a Gibson ES335, and it's I think this is from like 2016. And again, if we're doing something which is a bit more stripped back, I'll tend to use this as well. We've got a song. There you go. We got a song called Stand, and that song is, which is all kind of like bluesy. And I'll tend to use it on things like that, which is because it's just got a really nice warm sound, especially on this kind of neck pickup. So it's a really pretty guitar. It still rocks. And I feel like sometimes when you have them like really low down, they just look really cool. A lot of guitar players use them, and I've always loved a 335. So yeah, I'm really vibing this, and I take this one out on the road with us as well. So yeah, Robbie and I in the Karma Effect, we are massive fans of we're massive fans of like guitars, and we always love to stop and go shopping and things like that as well. So I say shopping, window shopping, but yeah, like we always go and we try and find, you know, sometimes we might even try and find like cash converters and go in there and see if they've got any good deals on anything, because sometimes you find some real gems and things like that. So we tend to do a bit of that when we're on the road, and any decent music shop that we see, we try and stop in it and have a look. But you know, I've got a Telecaster up there as well, which I don't really play live, but I fill out things on our record. You know, we'll have a bit of Telecaster here and there just to give it a bit of a more kind of twangy sound, because that really helps with our kind of riffs and music that we play. It helps to have a bit of a kind of more country twang to it as well. Absolutely. Keith Richards, you know, and again, when we do open tuning stuff, because there's always a little bit of it on our music, I tend to put the Telecaster in open tuning. But in the studio, what we'll tend to do is we'll have a riff of any song, I don't know off the top of my head. Take a song like Steal Your Heart off our first record. We'd take that, and then I'd play it on a big chunky guitar like a Les Paul, and then you just kind of have another track where you double it with something with a bit more cut to it, and that just, it creates a kind of a nice soundscape of guitar then, even if it just sits slightly underneath it in the mix. Yeah, I mean, we're very much like, Robbie and I are really proud to be working quite closely with Victory amps. And Victory amps are really cool. You know, the amps that we both use are essentially, you know, a kind of more modern, up-to-date version of like an old Plexi sounding amp. Which they're just like, we like vintage sound. Like, our band's got a vintage sound, so we want vintage sounding gear. We tend to run everything quite analog. We go big cabs and, you know, old school tube amps and just crank it. And then we have a few just effects running through the front. I tend to use a wah pedal quite a lot. Robbie doesn't really use a wah pedal, but he will use a bit more kind of things like slap back delay and, you know, and like a bit of reverb and stuff like that, because that's just the nature of his style of playing, is a bit more kind of aggressive than mine. And a bit more twangy, and he gets a really cool sound, which is quite unique to him by using those kind of things. But yeah, like for us, we are quite simple. We like the sound of a good guitar through a good amp, and everything else is just kind of accessorizing that, if you see what I mean. Like, we don't want it to be, we're not trying to make complicated, you know, modulations and things like that. We just want it to sound cool. And I think there's nothing better than when you see, like, you know, the rig rundowns of like Angus Young and what's his name, and Malcolm Young. You see, like, it was literally, they just have two amps and that's it, and they might have like a kind of split delay thing, which allows it to kind of have a kind of slight delay between the two amps, which allows it to give you that iconic sound, but there's no pedals or anything like that. And I think if you can do that, then you're onto a winner then, aren't you? It's just you. It's what you create through your fingers. Absolutely. I mean, no one can play like me. I can't play like Robbie. No one can play like Slash. No one can play like, you know, you can get close and you can do what they're doing and you can use all of their techniques. Yeah, whatever it is, if you're using it, you can try and you can use all of the right amps and all the right gear to sound like someone, but you're never gonna totally get it. And that's what's so incredible about the instrument, is that it's so unique and unique to the person, you know. And being able to kind of have that as your little corner of the universe in guitar world, and just be like, well, I am me, is really cool. All the guitar players that I have taken influence from, I'm a big fan of like Joe Bonamassa. I just love the way he plays the guitar. I love the style. He uses a lot of really cool pentatonic patterns. And he does it really quickly like that. And it sounds really cool. But then I also love, and I know he loves him, I adore people like the 70s guitar player Paul Kossoff. And he just had this really, like, it's just great bluesy licks just through a cranked kind of amplifier. And I stand by this to this day, that I think that All Right Now is the greatest guitar solo of all time, bar none, because it's got everything about it. And that's what I think is so important about guitar, is, you know, you can be the quickest, but you also just want to have the most feel and the most tone and the most kind of vibe. It's all about vibe, I think, more than anything. We've done a few covers before. We most notably did what was it? That's it. Yeah, we did Black Crowes, Remedy. We did that for a little while, as you can see, because I can't remember it. We haven't played it in ages, but we like to throw in a cover here and there of like a song that really inspires us. So, it's it all kind of depends really where we're at, but we all love the same kind of tunes. I think we like to actually record a cover of something that we really, really like all dig, but we haven't quite got there yet. We might do soon, who knows. So it's definitely going to be more a 2027 thing, but we're doing some stuff over in Europe, which is awesome for us. And then we have got some more of the like smaller regional stuff as well. And some of the big all day band fests we're headlining or main support on. And it's just the way the album campaign's landed this year, but it just means that, we'll round things off with a really good, hopefully from a really good campaign with like some killer festival spots next year, which will just be amazing for us. Like to all get together in the room together. We might have, some of us that drink, we might have a beer and just kind of start to relax. I think just being around each other and trying to go on stage happy and positive is the most important thing. Try and make each other laugh, try and say silly things to one another, to go out there feeling good and positive. We never want to hit the stage with bad energy. That's the most important thing, especially to me vocally. If I'm going out there with bad energy, I know immediately it's just going to affect my performance, vocally and guitar playing as well. I think as well, just getting yourself into a place of like warming up is something that I didn't do for a long time in terms of both, again, singing for me and guitar. But I was often finding I was going out there and I wasn't playing as well as I could. And I think it's just sitting there for the half an hour before the gig, just literally like running your scales and just going up and down the guitar, getting your fingers ready to go out there and kill it, basically. So I think we try and do that. But big one as a band is just make sure that we're all relaxed, we're all happy, have a laugh, and just, we might all just kind of get in a little kind of huddle and just get our game plan. If we're doing a festival, you always want to be the best band on the bill. So you get your game plan together and you go out there and you just try and own it, Okay, let's go. So that's definitely up there for me. I love, there's a great riff by The Darkness. So that's another one, which is a song off their first record, which is really cool. I mean, of course, I can't not play Queen. And then they also had... So there, I mean, I could literally sit here and play my favourite riffs to you all day, but they're just a few of some of my favourite killer riffs. Oh, okay, my favourite Karma Effect riff will probably always be. It will probably always be Testify, because I think it's just such a cool riff. So I've loved that one, and then it's closely followed by, on the new record, it'll be definitely followed by the Waiting on a Miracle. So there you go. There's two of my favourite Karma Effect riffs.